So it's out of sight, out of mind, but that is.
I'm at 8434 Winding Trail Place. This is in Landon. Doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. So we're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. Now we are going in through the stack in the basement. It's in the laundry room, right next to the stationary tub, and we're going to try to go out as far as we can. There's another clean out to the rear, so the line must go out the back, but that clean out was not a two-way. So if nothing else, from here, between here and there, would probably be about 30 feet. And then if I need to, we can make a move and go through that clean out to go from there out to the main. But hopefully we make it all the way straight from here. But this is PVC. It should be PVC all the way out to the main. And I will make note of anything that feels necessary along the way. I'm actually going to have to pause the video for a second because I have a standoff on the camera and it will not fit through the pipe. I'm going to have to pause it for a second so I can take this standoff off the edge of the camera. The clean out is just too small for this.
No, not sewer gases. It's strictly exhaust gas. Oh, no, fuel. Yeah. Okay. Let's walk up there.
Okay. So yeah, we got that standoff off of there, so now we should be able to fit right on through the clean out. The standoff that was on there usually helps center it in the pipe. It kind of lifts it up off the bottom. But you shouldn't need that. This would be a 4-inch PVC all the way out. So it's good. That is a tie-in from the right there. Could be this floor drain. And then on the pullback, what we'll do is we'll just make sure that we'll run some water. It's a pullback, and that way you can see what's going on. Here is the outside clean out. I believe there's a connection from above. Okay, so we are definitely underwater here. It's about a half a pipe diameter of water here. Could be because of this. There's a chunk. Try to get this stuff out of the way. It's like there's something down in there. I'm not really sure what that is. Hopefully, but it is like a soft material. I'm going to take the time to just recommend that, because yeah, I don't know what this is. Something got flushed. But I'm going to take the time just to go ahead and say that don't ever use wet wipes. This could be partially what this is. These things do not break down. Toilet paper is, it's designed to break down, fall apart when it hits the water. And these wet wipes do not, no matter what they say on the packaging. And so they can just sit in here and build up. And so that may have been why there was so much water at that spot. Now there are some bellies. Doesn't seem to be drastic, but we're going to note that there are some bellies here, and that would have been something with the standoff that would have been able to get a better idea of, Now these bellies are not drastic. It's just the fact that that camera lens is only about a half an inch off the bottom of the pipe. And I didn't see any solids sitting in the line. so it is something you might want to watch. Because see, this is what you don't want to see a bunch of solids sitting there, especially if you don't want to be using wet wipes and stuff in this instance. Yeah, these are all going to be marked on the way back. I'll mark these spots because there are definitely a few of these. And then what I may do is make a second pass from the outside clean out with a standoff on it. I should be able to get at least some type of standoff on the camera to better see how deep these bellies are. I can see how deep the water is, and that'll give you an indication of how much the pipe is sunk. Now, if you just use toilet paper, like I said, natural materials, this should not cause a problem, these bellies, but they are something you want to monitor. Okay, so we're switching over to clay, which may mean that we're getting close to the main. It's a little surprising that they have clay out here, being that we have the age of the house and everything being PVC. That means this main, maybe this part of the lateral anyway, may be older than the house. It could have been that the development was done with clay well before they started using PVC, and then they put the PVC in later up to this point. Clay looks like it's in really good shape here. And here we are diving into the main. So we made it out to the main at 120 feet. And so, we did have some bellies in there that I am going to mark. And I'm going to suggest that it be, reevaluated by a licensed plumber, just to be sure that this is see what they think about the long-term effects of those bellies. Because, with it being PVC, and if you don't flush strange materials down there, this should, it should be able to carry on and be fine. But that's, I can't say that for sure. Because of how deep some of these are, we're not able to see that. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull back, and then I'm going to put a standoff on this, and I will make a move to the outside clean out. And we're going to mark the beginning and end of these bellies as I pull back. But then I'll try to also put a riser or that standoff around the camera. See if we can get that lens up out of the water a little bit, or at least be able to tell how high this water is in these bellies. They don't seem real severe for the most part. In a 6-inch pipe, a 1-inch belly is not really much. It should be able to overtake that. The water will just fill up and overtake it. But I'm going to suggest it be evaluated by a licensed plumber to be sure. So we switched back from clay at switched from PVC to clay at like 89 feet here on the according to the footage counter. That's not that accurate, so we'll just use the transmitter on the camera to be able to locate these spots exactly. But the clay from there out looked really good, and that is the older pipe. It had no defects and looked really good. So as I pull back, we're going to look for those bellies again, and we'll pause and get locates of those individual sections. there's one. We're right at 70 feet here. So I'm going to pause the video here, and we're going to mark the end of this belly, and then I will come back in, and then we will, then I'll locate, pull back, when I come out of the water, I will mark the beginning of this belly, and we'll do that multiple times there, as we mark all those low spots. If I haven't explained, a belly is basically a low spot. If it's not obvious as you're looking at the video, a belly is kind of a low spot in the line where the line probably sank a little bit over time, or it could have been that way since the beginning when they backfilled. It's pretty common, but you're just looking to make sure that the severity of it won't cause any issues. So we're pausing here to get a locate. Okay, so the end of this belly is marked with a tiny little bit of green paint. It looks like this is pulling out the back and running up in between the garage and the house. And so I can't really mark any depths or anything on that. And that was really, this one right here, I'm not concerned about this one. It's very, very slight. You know, that one is not an issue. I will note it, but just say it's minor. I mean, I'm mainly worried about the ones you don't have flash in. So, like this one looks like there's a little bit of solids in it. You can see how it's covering the camera. So, okay, I'm going to mark this spot now. I'm going to pause again. I'm going to mark this spot. Okay, so the end of this belly is at 64 feet. Only a couple feet deep. Again, this is still in between the house and the garage, so it's probably going to be something that, if it is avoidable, because it is under that concrete in between the two places, but we will mark the beginning of this belly. I believe this was probably the biggest. I don't think it's, I mean, you can see there that it's not drastic. It's only about, it's probably 1.5 inches to maybe 2 inches, probably closer to 1.5 inches, so it's not a major belly. But again, as long as you're, not using, things you're not supposed to, and putting stuff down here that you're not supposed to, it should continue to flow freely. But again, pause again, and we're going to locate the beginning of this. Okay, so that's basically going underneath that elevated walk in between the front door to the house and the door to the garage. And so that may have been what happened, is from the original, since it's only about 3.5 feet deep, could have been when they did the original concrete that just kind of dropped that underneath that step a little bit. Like I said, it doesn't seem anything, it didn't seem like it was holding anything large, but you want to have these things evaluated just to be sure. Again, this is another one. None of these look, overly drastic. I mean, they're not half the diameter of the pipe or anything, so the water is overtaking and continuing on down the line. But again, we're going to mark all of these for reference. I'm going to put it as minor bellies. So here we're going to pause once again. Okay, so that is just at the back of the garage. That's 3'1" to the invert on that. And these are marked with flags, but they may not be there. I did take a reference photo of the one on the concrete. But again, this is another, minor belly, but I do have to reference them. So they always seem much worse on the way out because I'm pushing, and so it pushes all the water up in front of the camera. And so that's how we can tell better when we pull back how long and how drastic these really are. But this is just another minor one, so I'm gonna go mark them just for reference. Okay, and that's the beginning of the right at the beginning of that belly. Again, another minor one, but it was 2'11" there. And we're coming up close to the back of the house, so we should be making some turns and going back into the house there to clean out, and that may have been it. So you can still see like flashes of light, and you can see how minor this one is. In fact, I'm not even going to mark that one because, like I said, that camera lens is only 1/2 inch maybe off the bottom of the pipe. Now this, I'm going to try to, maybe flush this part out because this was kind of sitting there, and I think this was actually causing a little bit of a thing here coming around this turn here. You see that sitting there? Looks like a string. I'd hate to see if somebody put a, some sort of woman's product down there or something. It didn't look like that, but I'm going to mark it from here. I'll go back to the other side. I don't think we're going to need a second pass for this. I should be able to tell. None of these are. Here we go, right here. All right, so this should be the last couple. We're almost back in the house. So we'll mark this one. And the beginning of this, it looks like it's making the turn to get around the house here, so it'd be right behind the house, and we'll finish up the inspection. Okay, that's 2 foot deep, right at the back corner, and then it's marked with a flag, and then we'll pull back through this, and really this is going to be almost at the clean out here where we come in. See, it's going to be just a couple feet. Yeah, see? So basically, let's see, 23, 24, a foot past the clean out, 1.5 feet past the clean out. So we'll just use that as a reference mark, and we'll continue back. The rest of this looked really good. I mean, structurally, the pipe, there's no collapses. There's no, the joints look nice and tight. Okay, so just to sum up there, the line looked good, everything, all the joints were tight, structurally, it was all intact and free-flowing. There are a couple bellies that are pretty minor, as long as you don't flush anything, like mentioned earlier, wet wipes or, paper towels, things you're not supposed to flush down a toilet. As long as you don't put anything like that through the line, it should flow freely, but the bellies are marked. I would consider them minor, but would recommend a second opinion from a plumber just to be sure that all bases are covered. But according to what I saw, I didn't see any major issues at the time of inspection. So that'll end the inspection at 8434 Winding Trail Place.